Ethan thought he'd buried his feelings for Lily the day she left for college. She was his best friend, practically his sister, until she returns 4 years later with a diamond on her finger and a smile that still unravels him. As the lines between past and present blur, both must confront the truth they never dared to speak. Some loves don't fade, they wait. But not every love story is meant to be chosen. Hello family, welcome to Storytime with Imzi. Please subscribe and like, it means the world to us. Also share this video to your friends and loved ones and turn on post notifications so you don't miss future videos from us. Thank you as you do so. Sit back and relax as we dive into the story. The spring air in Maple Hollow always smelled faintly of rain and fresh soil, like the earth was waking up from a long, dreamless sleep. Ethan Cole stood behind the counter of his family's coffee shop, steam curling from a ceramic mug in his hand, watching tiny drops race each other down the window pane. It was the kind of slow, gray morning he secretly liked. The shop was half empty, save for the usuals: Mr. Whitman with his crossword puzzle and double espresso, Lisa from the bookstore nursing a chai while rereading Pride and Prejudice for the 5th time. He liked the quiet. It gave him space to think. But not today. Today, his thoughts were scattered, unfocused. Jittery, even. And not from the caffeine. She's coming back today, huh? Ethan looked up. His younger sister, Maddie, leaned against the pastry case, her apron dusted with flour, hair pulled into a messy bun that made her look even younger than 20. Yeah, Ethan said, his voice quieter than he intended. Sometime this afternoon. You gonna pick her up? He shook his head. She didn't ask. Said Ryan's driving. Maddie raised her eyebrows, unimpressed. You're really gonna let some guy, some fiancé guy, be the first person she sees in town? Ethan gave a humorless smile. It's been 4 years. I don't think I qualify as a welcoming committee anymore. Maddie didn't say anything, just shot him a look that said more than words. She knew better. Everyone did. Lily Hart. The name stirred something deep in Ethan's chest, something equal parts warmth and ache. She had been his best friend since 8th grade. The kind of friend who knew how to read your silences, who stayed over when your parents were fighting, who never made you feel like you had to be anything but exactly yourself. She'd always said he was like a brother, and he had told himself that was enough. And then, senior year, she got accepted to a university on the East Coast. Full ride. Journalism. Big dreams. She left in August, and everything went quiet. At first, they texted, FaceTimed, visited. But life happened, and distance settled between them like fog. Until last week, when he got the message. Coming home for good. Got a job at the Gazette. Can't wait to see you. Also big news. I'm bringing someone. Can't wait for you to meet Ryan. Ryan. The fiancé. The mystery man with the perfect name and the perfect timing. Ethan hadn't replied for a day. When he did, it was just a thumbs-up emoji. He hated how small that made him feel. The bell above the door jingled, snapping him out of his thoughts. Maddie had gone back to the kitchen, and Ethan stood alone again. He looked out the window. The same town, the same corner cafe, the same streets they used to run down barefoot in summer. Everything was the same. But in a few hours she would be back. And everything would be different. The sound of tires crunching gravel made Ethan glance up from behind the coffee shop counter. Through the front window, under the soft gold of late afternoon light, a dark blue SUV pulled into the parking lot. Lily always liked blue, he remembered that. Ocean blue, she'd say, not navy. Like possibility. His stomach flipped. Ridiculous. Maddie peered out from the kitchen doorway. That her? He didn't answer. Just stepped out from behind the counter, brushing his hands on his apron without realizing it. The car door opened and there she was, Lily Hart, stepping out like a memory unfolding. Her hair was longer than he remembered, falling in waves over her shoulders, sun-kissed and wind-tossed. She wore a loose denim jacket and black jeans, simple, casual, still unmistakably her. But her face older. Sharper, but softer too, like she'd learned things the world hadn't taught him yet. Then he saw the man who came around the car to her side. Ryan. Tall. Clean-cut. Effortless smile. The kind of guy who looked like he played tennis in college and gave TED Talks now for fun. He took Lily's bag from the trunk and she touched his arm, lightly but familiar. Intimate. Ethan swallowed. The door chimed as they stepped inside. Ethan! Lily's voice lit up the room, just like it used to. He forced a grin, let her pull him into a hug. She smelled like lavender and citrus, and for a moment, for one dangerous heartbeat, it felt like nothing had changed. When she pulled back, her eyes searched his face. You look older, but also exactly the same. You too, he said, though I think the city gave you a better fashion sense. She laughed, then turned to Ryan. This is him, Ethan, my best friend, the one I've told you about since forever. Ryan stepped forward, extending a hand. Ryan Levis. Good to finally meet you. I feel like I already know you. Ethan shook his hand. Firm grip. Warm smile. Damn it, he even had dimples. Likewise. They sat at a corner table, and Maddie brought over drinks without being asked. Chai for Lily. Black coffee for Ethan. Something iced and complicated for Ryan. So, Ethan said, trying to keep it light. How's life with the rest of the world? Lily leaned back, her smile genuine. Fast. Loud. Kind of exhausting. But good. I've missed this place, though. And you. She said it like a throwaway line, but Ethan felt the warmth behind it. He held her gaze a second too long, then looked down at his coffee. Ryan wrapped an arm around the back of her chair. We're actually thinking of settling here. I can work remote, and Lily got the job at the Gazette. We figured why not? That's great, Ethan said automatically. It wasn't a lie. It really was great. It just wasn't what he'd pictured. They talked for another hour, half reminiscing, half updating. Ryan asked thoughtful questions. Lily laughed like she always had, tilting her head back slightly, the way Ethan remembered from those summer nights on her porch. But something had changed. The space between them, him and Lily, it was filled with history, but now edged with something cautious. Careful, like walking barefoot on stones you used to know by heart. When they stood to leave, Lily hugged him again. We'll catch up soon, okay? Just us. Ryan smiled, oblivious. Thanks for the drinks, man. Ethan nodded, holding the door as they stepped into the dusky evening. He watched them walk to the car. She laughed at something Ryan said. Then, just before she opened her door, she turned and looked back at Ethan. Just for a second. But it was enough. Enough to feel it again. The thing he'd buried years ago under all that talk of sibling love and platonic forever. He'd called her his sister. But it had never been just that. Not really. It started with a message. You free tomorrow? Thought I'd come by the shop. Just us like old times. Ethan read it 3 times before answering. Yeah, morning's best. Coffee's on me. When she arrived the next day, it felt less like a reunion and more like slipping into a half-remembered dream. Lily wore a navy hoodie, his old hoodie, actually. He recognized it instantly. Faded logo. Frayed cuff. She'd borrowed it their senior year and never gave it back. He didn't mention it, but it said enough. They sat outside on the patio, just the two of them. The air was brisk, the kind that warned of summer fading. Lily curled her hands around a warm mug and smiled at him like time hadn't passed at all. Remember that time we tried to make s'mores in the microwave and almost set your kitchen on fire? She asked, eyes glinting. Vividly, Ethan said. My mom still checks the microwave every time I cook anything. They laughed, the easy, unforced kind. The kind that built their friendship years ago. Feels weird being back, Lily said after a pause, her smile fading into something softer. I thought I'd feel settled, I guess. Like putting on a pair of old shoes. But everything's changed. Not everything, Ethan said, watching her. You're still you. Am I? She looked down at her drink. Sometimes I'm not so sure. They drove later that afternoon. No destination, just a direction. North. Out toward the hills where the town melted into woods. They passed the old railroad tracks, the hollowed-out barn where they once carved their initials into a beam just to see if they could. When they reached the river bend, Lily pulled over. Still here, she said, stepping out of the car. Ethan followed. The place looked the same. The curve of the river, the rocks they used to skip, the tree with initials from 100 teenage promises. Their spot. She sat on the low stone wall by the water. I used to come here every time things got too loud. Even after I left. I'd picture it in my head. You'd be here. We'd talk about dumb stuff. Music. Books. Whether cereal counts as soup. It doesn't, Ethan said automatically. She grinned. Exactly. They sat in silence for a while, watching the current drift. Then, softly, she said, "Do you ever think about it? About what we were?" Ethan didn't answer right away. The question thudded in his chest. "Yeah," he said eventually. "More than I want to admit." She turned to him, eyes searching his face. "I used to tell myself I loved you like a brother. That it was safer that way. But it wasn't true," he said before he could stop himself. Lily blinked, then nodded just once. A barely there movement, like a tremor under still water. Before either of them could say more, her phone buzzed. "Ryan." She looked at the screen for a second too long. The moment cracked. The quiet between them twisted. "I should get back," she said, standing up quickly. "Dinner plans with his parents." Ethan stood too. "Yeah, of course." But something hung in the air between them now. Something old and unfinished. Like a song they both remembered, but had stopped singing before the final verse. She hesitated near the car door. "I'm glad we did this." "Me too," he said. She didn't hug him this time. Just smiled, small and tight, and drove off. Ethan stood by the river for a long time after she left, hands in his pockets, the late sun warming his face. The past wasn't done with them yet, and the present was starting to feel dangerously alive. Lily had always been good at compartmentalizing. She could fold away feelings like sweaters, tight, clean, tucked into mental drawers she rarely opened. She had done it when she left home for college, when her father got sick, when she realized she'd stopped calling Ethan as often, when Ryan proposed. But that drawer, the one labeled Ethan, was rattling now, refusing to stay shut. The day of the party, she stared at her reflection for too long. She'd curled her hair, worn the dress Ryan liked, the soft champagne one with the open back. Her lipstick was a muted rose, elegant but not too much. She looked, by all accounts, happy, engaged, glowing. But her eyes looked tired. "Lils, you ready?" Ryan's voice from downstairs. "Yeah," she called back, smoothing her dress. "Be right there." The engagement party was hosted in Ryan's parents' backyard, a sprawling garden lit with hanging bulbs and soft jazz humming from hidden speakers. Tables were dressed in white linens. The wine flowed. People laughed in polite bursts. It was perfect, polished, and Lily hated it. She mingled, smiled, answered questions about the wedding venue and color palettes and honeymoon plans. Ryan stayed glued to her side, ever the charmer. Her mother said he looked like someone from a Hallmark movie. Lily agreed, because that's what everyone wanted to hear. But her eyes kept drifting to the gate. And when Ethan finally walked through it, hands in his pockets, wearing that dark button-up she always said brought out the green in his eyes, she exhaled in a way she hadn't realized she was holding her breath. He stayed near the edges at first, talking to Maddie, laughing with her mom. Always watching, though, always aware of her. Halfway through the night, she found him near the dessert table, picking at a slice of cake. "Is it weird I still hate lemon frosting?" he asked as she walked up. "I warned you," she said, smiling. He handed her the fork. "Try it. Confirm it's trash." She took a bite, wrinkled her nose. Still trash. They laughed, and for a second, it was just them again. Their own little frequency. "You look," Ethan began, then paused. "Like you." It was simple, sincere, more real than anything anyone else had said to her all night. "Do you want to get out of here?" she blurted, then immediately regretted it. Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Out of your own party? I mean, just a walk. 5 minutes. I need air." He didn't hesitate. "Lead the way." They slipped away through the side gate, down the path past the hydrangeas, into the dark hush of the neighborhood. The moon hung low and full, lighting their way like an old friend. Lily didn't speak for a long time. Just walked. Beside him. Finally, she said, I thought this would feel different. The party. The ring. All of it. And does it? He asked. I don't know, she admitted. I keep waiting for the feeling to catch up. They stopped at the old footbridge near Willow Creek, where they used to throw stones and pretend each one was a secret sinking out of sight. I should be happy, she said. Ryan's good. He loves me. He's everything I said I wanted. Ethan leaned on the railing beside her. But, she looked at him. The silence between them vibrated. I don't know who I am when I'm with him, she whispered. But with you, I never have to try. Ethan turned to her, eyes unreadable. And then too close. Too fast. The distance between them vanished. He leaned in. She didn't stop him. The world tilted, breath held. But at the last second, she pulled away. Just inches. Enough to break whatever had been building. I can't, she said. I can't do that to him. Ethan stepped back immediately, face clouding. Yeah. No. Of course. I'm sorry. She wanted to say more. That she felt it too. That part of her had never stopped loving him. That this thing between them had always been there, humming beneath the surface like a song she wasn't brave enough to sing. But all she said was, we should go back. They walked in silence. When they returned, Ryan was at the gate, scanning the crowd. His face lit up in relief when he saw her. He kissed her temple. There you are, he said. Everything okay? Yeah, Lily replied, forcing a smile. Just needed a little air. But in her chest, the drawer had come undone. And no amount of pretending could close it now. The morning after the party, Ethan couldn't sleep. He'd laid in bed for hours, staring at the ceiling fan spinning lazy circles above him, the same way his thoughts were spinning, slow, relentless, directionless. That moment on the footbridge played on repeat. The way Lily had looked at him, the way she'd leaned in first. The kiss they didn't finish, and the ache it left behind. He told himself it was better this way, that pulling away had been the right thing, that it proved Lily was loyal, committed, kind. But part of him wished she'd made the selfish choice. Just once. The cracks started to show that afternoon. Lily stopped by the cafe alone, no text, no warning. She looked pale beneath her makeup, like she hadn't slept either. She sat at the window table, the one they used to claim as theirs. I needed to see you, she said softly, once the place had cleared out. I didn't want last night to be the last thing between us. Ethan leaned against the counter, arms crossed, trying to stay steady. It's not, he said. It won't be. She looked up. It can't happen again. He nodded. I know. But neither of them sounded convinced. 2 days later, Ryan stopped by the cafe alone. It was a Saturday busy. Ethan was elbow-deep in dishes when Maddie nudged him. He's asking for you, she said under her breath. Looks not great. Ryan stood by the back door, arms folded. Ethan wiped his hands and walked over. Hey man, what's up? Ryan gave a short laugh. Funny question. Ethan blinked. Okay. Ryan's voice dropped low. Controlled. I know something happened between you two. Ethan didn't respond. He didn't have to. I'm not stupid, Ryan continued. She's been different since we got here. Quiet. Distant. And the way she looks at you, I'd have to be blind not to notice. Ethan felt heat rising in his neck. Whatever you're thinking. I'm thinking, Ryan interrupted, that if I have to fight you for her, we've already lost something. Ethan met his eyes. I'm not trying to take her away from you. Ryan nodded slowly. Good. Then let her go. That night, Ethan went to the old treehouse. It had taken them 2 summers to build. The ladder was rotting now, but he still knew which branches to use. The trapdoor groaned under his weight as he pulled himself inside. It smelled like dust and pine. Like childhood. He sat in the corner where Lily used to read aloud from dog-eared paperbacks, where they used to eat Twizzlers and talk about getting out of Maple Hollow. About never falling in love because it would ruin everything. What a joke that had been. His phone buzzed. Lily, I need to talk. Not now. Soon. He didn't reply. Instead, he reached into the old crate under the floorboard where they used to stash treasures. Random buttons, mixtapes, notes scribbled on candy wrappers. And there, folded into the pages of an old notebook, was a photo. Them. Senior year. She was in his hoodie, laughing mid-bite into a donut. He was grinning like he'd just learned what happiness tasted like. He stared at it for a long time. That version of them was gone. But something new had taken its place. And it wasn't done yet. The morning light slipped in through the blinds in quiet slants, catching motes of dust in the air. Lily sat at the edge of the bed in Ryan's parents' guest room, already dressed, her suitcase half-zipped at her feet. Her coffee had gone cold beside her. She hadn't touched it. Downstairs, she could hear Ryan laughing with his mother. It was a good laugh. Honest. That was the thing. There was nothing wrong with him. And maybe that was the problem. She hadn't told him about the almost kiss. Not fully. Just that she and Ethan had talked. That things got a little emotional. That she felt confused. She'd expected anger, maybe even jealousy. Instead, Ryan had gone quiet. Careful. Later that night, he'd looked at her across the dinner table and said, "Maybe we should go back to the city sooner." She had nodded, but her stomach turned. Because going back meant leaving again. They didn't speak much the next 2 days. The wedding planning resumed, mechanical and hollow. Cake tasting. Final guest list. Seating charts. Everything felt like boxes being checked off a list she no longer remembered writing. Her mother noticed. Of course she did. "You're not glowing anymore," she said gently over lunch one afternoon. Lily stared into her tea. "Maybe I'm tired." "You're always tired when you're lying to yourself," her mom replied, soft and steady. "You get that from me." That night, Lily found herself driving without knowing why. The streetlights blurred past. Her fingers tightened on the steering wheel. She didn't put on music. She didn't want to fill the silence. She parked at the coffee shop. It was closed. Dark. Only one car outside Ethan's. She didn't call. Just walked to the back door and knocked 3 times, the way she used to when sneaking in during his late shifts. He opened the door like he'd been waiting. "I can't do this," she said, her voice cracking. Ethan didn't ask what she meant. Instead, he stepped aside. Inside, the shop felt smaller, quieter. Like it had pulled itself in to make room for the weight they carried. He poured her coffee without asking, black, just the way she liked it when she was trying to feel real. She sat across from him at the counter, hands wrapped around the mug. "Ryan wants to leave early. Go back to New York next week." Ethan nodded. "You going?" "I don't know. Do you want to?" Lily looked at him. "You're not making this easier." "I'm not supposed to." The silence stretched between them. "I keep trying to figure out when it started," she said finally. "When it changed between us. When it stopped being just friendship." "It never stopped," Ethan said quietly. "We just stopped saying it out loud." She closed her eyes. Then she whispered, "If I asked you to tell me not to go, would you?" His answer didn't come right away. And when it did, it was so quiet she almost missed it. "I want to," he said. "More than anything. But you'd hate me for it. Someday. You'd wonder what you missed. You'd wonder if I only wanted you because I was afraid to lose you." She looked at him, really looked at him, and felt that invisible thread between them go taut. "This isn't fair," she said. "I know." They didn't touch, didn't kiss, didn't confess. They just sat, across from each other, in the echo of everything they hadn't said. Eventually, she stood. "I should go." He nodded. She turned to leave, but hesitated at the door. "I used to think you were my home," she said. Ethan looked up. "And now?" She blinked back tears. "Now I don't know where that is." The door clicked shut behind her. And Ethan was alone with the scent of her coffee and the hollow of what they almost had. The day before the wedding dawned too bright, too blue. It was the kind of weather that mocked you for being sad. Sunlight pouring down like everything was fine, like the world didn't know what it was stealing. Ethan hadn't slept. Again. He'd stayed at the treehouse most of the night, sitting in the silence, picking splinters out of the floor with his thumbnail like they could distract him from what tomorrow meant. Finality. A ceremony. a goodbye dressed in lace and gold. He hadn't planned to go up there again that morning, but something told him to. The ladder groaned beneath him. The boards creaked, dry and tired like they were holding on to too many memories. He crouched low to avoid the low beam. Lily had always hit her head on that one. He smiled, just barely. Then he saw it. A piece of notebook paper folded twice, slid halfway under the old crate. His name written across it. Not new handwriting. Familiar. Slightly rushed, a little messy. Her high school script. His hands shook as he picked it up. Ethan, if you ever find this, it means I couldn't say it out loud. Or I didn't. Which is kind of the same thing. You were always home for me. That's the truth. It's why I ran. Because I knew if I stayed, I wouldn't chase anything else. And I had to know what else was out there. I had to prove I could become someone without you. But there's never been a day I didn't wonder if I made a mistake. I told everyone I loved you like a brother because it was easier than saying I loved you in a way that scared the hell out of me. And now I'm getting married, and I keep thinking about the boy who made me believe I was enough just by being, who knew all my favorite songs before I did, who made me feel seen in a world that usually passes people like me by. I think I still love you, and I don't know what to do with that. Ethan sat there a long time, long enough for the sun to climb, for the wind to shift, long enough to realize it didn't matter how long ago she'd written it. What mattered was that she still hadn't said any of it. But she'd left the letter here, in their place, where she knew he'd go when it mattered. He ran, down the ladder, through the trees, into town. He wasn't sure if he was too early or already too late, but his legs didn't stop moving. Past the shops, past the bakery, past the park where they'd once carved hearts into the picnic table and laughed when people assumed it was romantic. Everything blurred. He made it to the chapel. White flowers, guests gathering in soft murmurs, bridesmaids in pale green. The doors weren't closed yet. Inside, piano music drifted through the air like feathers. And then, there she was, Lily, just outside the bridal suite, standing alone in the hallway in her wedding dress. Simple, classic, beautiful. She turned when she heard him. Her eyes widened. Neither of them moved. Finally, he stepped forward, held out the letter. I found it. She stared at it, then at him. I thought I'd burned that, she said, voice almost gone. You didn't, he said. You left it where I'd find it. A beat passed. 2. And then she whispered, What do I do? Ethan's throat tightened. I don't know. But I couldn't let you go without knowing. You weren't alone in this. She nodded slowly, tears rising. Do you still feel it? She asked. Yes, he said. I never stopped. Her lips parted like she might say something. But just then, voices echoed down the hallway. Her mother's. The coordinator's. Time was running out. I have to go, she said, almost an apology. Ethan nodded. He didn't try to stop her. He watched as she turned away, walking down the hallway toward the door she'd chosen. But before she disappeared, she looked back. One last time. Her eyes said everything her mouth wouldn't. And Ethan, standing in a chapel that didn't belong to him, holding a letter that changed everything too late, let her go. The church bells rang, soft and bright. People clapped. The bride and groom smiled for pictures on the chapel steps. Lily's dress glowed in the golden hour light. Ryan looked proud, solid, content. Ethan stood near the back, not hiding, but not in the photos either. He watched her laugh with her mother, watched her take Ryan's hand as they moved toward the car that would take them to the reception. She looked up just once, scanning the crowd. Their eyes met. A second. No more. But in that second, they said everything they couldn't say with words. Thank you. I'll always carry this. I'll always carry you. Then she was gone. The weeks passed slow at first. Maple Hollow fell into summer. Slow days, long shadows, soft cicada songs at night. The coffee shop got busier. Tourists rolled in. Maddie started dating someone from the bakery. Life, in its quiet way, went on. Ethan didn't hear from Lily for a while. He didn't expect to. She hadn't moved away, not yet. She and Ryan stayed in town while she settled into the Gazette. She wrote features about local farmers and school plays. Her byline was everywhere, and he read every word. One day in late August, a note arrived at the shop. No return address. No handwriting on the envelope. Just his name. Inside was a Polaroid, one he'd forgotten existed. Them, 17, lying on the hood of his car under a fireworks sky. Her head on his chest. His smile wide and fearless. On the back, in Lily's handwriting. In another life. But thank you for this one. He didn't cry. He didn't need to. Some stories don't end with love being claimed. Some end with it being honored. Years later, they'd both remember it differently. Ryan would always believe he'd won the quietest kind of war. Lily would never say otherwise. But there would be moments, on quiet walks, in the flicker of an old song on the radio, or the hush of a sunrise through pine trees, when she'd feel it again. That other path. That other heartbeat. And Ethan? He didn't wait. He built a life. He loved again. But in the back of a drawer in his house, he kept a photo and a letter. Not to live in the past. Just to remember what almost was. Because sometimes that's all we get. And sometimes, that's enough.